Pastor, if you only knew what I'm hiding, and I don't know how I got here. And maybe mentally you're in a place of turmoil because you're wondering, what if I get caught? What if I get found out? There's going to be an answer to that, right? And we're going to talk about that. But here's the thing. Many of our big blunders, I wanted to write this down for you. Many of our big blunders come on the heels of numerous small compromises. Choices that weren't made with full integrity. When I was teaching my daughters about integrity a few weeks ago, I asked them if they knew what the root word, that integer, means. It's a whole number. And that whole, that's the root word for integrity. It means you're the same person wherever you are. Whether you're at the auto mechanic or you're at church or you're at the office, that you are a whole person. And recognition of those compromises is where wisdom begins. Recognition of those small compromises. Noticing them. Okay, like this blunder with David and Bathsheba. I never thought of this really till this week in writing this down, that the first 3 to 5, maybe even 10 compromises, I wonder what they were. Again, because David did not wake up one morning and thinking to himself, I think I'll blow it. I think I'll have an affair and kill someone and ruin my reputation. You don't wake up doing that. There's a path that you're on. And so I wonder if it was fudging the numbers on the last victory. I wonder if it was keeping something he shouldn't have kept, right? The Saul mistake. I wonder what those compromises were that led him to believe I deserve more than I've been given. It's always the path to sin. And so you've got to notice them. You've got to recognize them. He should not have been on that palace rooftop. Bible says he should have been out on the battlefield. And there is power even in just that principle right there, that when you're doing what you're called to do, you'll be less distracted by the intruder and the accuser of the brethren. When you're busy. Remember we said 2 weeks ago, bored people do dumb things. I even put it on the screen. Bored people do dumb things. Turn to your neighbor and say, and just in case you didn't get it, look them in the eyes and say, bored people do dumb things. I saw some of you continuing the conversation. I told you need to rake the leaves and clean up the yard because he said you're bored. I saw some of you wives elaborate, and that was out of place, and you can repent later. We do have a completely full altar here. It's a big area, so you can come down. But what we have to talk about is the pain that we've inflicted upon ourselves, because so often, and again, as a pastor, like I see this all the time. It is so easy for us to go, well, Pastor, see, and when they did this and when they did that, and then the minute you ask a question like, what is your role in this situation? It's like, I don't have a role. I'm the one being victimized, and next thing you know, there actually is no ownership, and there's no recognition of our need for God, which you can't experience the grace of God unless you're willing to admit that you need the grace of God and that you need help. So what does this mean for me? It's that we need to be aware that it's the small, seemingly insignificant choices of compromise that lead us down a path to pain, a path that we need to avoid. And if we saw the end of that path, we would say, yeah, I want to avoid that path. So I want to say this: set up guardrails for your life to avoid the preventable pain and the sin.